Hey guys, it's Ileana, and here are some reasons why I might not want to publish my novel. Sorry guys if I sound a little sick, it's because I am. I'm not feeling too well, but that's not the point of the video. I have been writing a novel for about a year and a half now. I've had periods in my novel, or in my time writing my novel, where I would stop working on it because I would get very uninterested or I would have these fears about writing that I still have now. If anything, I feel that I might have more fears now than I did before. And that it's just because I've been watching more videos about novel writing. I think as somebody who writes or who is looking to publish later on, I've been doing a lot of research into publishing. And I've also been looking into people who are my age publishing. Because I am only 17, so I'm way younger than most people who publish novels. And a part of the reason is because I'm not in high school and I have free time, so I'm writing. As I've been researching, I've seen a couple people who are my age who write novels, who I'm pretty sure some of them haven't published yet, and some of them have tried. Um, there is a couple of people who are far older, like 30s, 40s, 50s, who have advice for young writers, and that is if you are like a teenager or in your early 20s, do not publish your book because you are starting so early. Like if you haven't started writing at 13, then don't publish at 18. Like you need so many years of experience for that. But to me, I don't need that much experience because I'm very, very interested in publishing my book. I don't know if there's another reason other than the fact that I'm just not experienced, or another reason could be that like I just don't know what I'm doing. I haven't done enough research into publishing, into literary agents, into querying, into any of these things. That is all a fear of mine, that I'm like doing this too early. That, as well as I know and I'm aware that I am taking my time. I'm taking a lot of time, more time than I need to write my book. This is like my second draft, and I'm not writing as much as I should be. I have been writing a lot in my journal for the book. It is where I write all my notes and stuff about certain characters, about archetypes, about storylines, about comparisons to other books, about comparisons to other characters. And that's where I put all my stuff so that I can really put myself in the head of my main character, or just in the mindset that I need to be in for when I write. So I'm aware that I'm taking a little too much time, or I'm not doing enough, maybe, possibly. I'm not sure. There's that. And there's the reality that I think a lot of people say that whenever you're really young and like you're like a teenager and you want to publish your book, that you shouldn't because you are a teenager. It's that you're so young, and whenever you hit your 20s or your 30s and you look back on that, you are ashamed to have published that. And I have an argument for that, and that argument is, well, if you were to publish it in your 20s anyways, wouldn't you be ashamed of it in your 40s? And some people could say like, oh, well, no, because like it made me money, or it did this, or it gave me this sort of a happiness later on, or like I was proud to have written it even if it sucked, and it's where I started. Like that could be the same thing as somebody who's a teenager writing as well. And like I get that it might be like a reflection of your childhood in a way, because most people who are teenagers might believe that they're adults, and then later on when they hit their 20s, they will look back at being a teenager and go, I was just a kid back then, or they see themselves as a child when they were a teenager. If you ask me if I believe if I'm a child or not, I don't really know. It just depends on the day. There are so many reasons why I'm scared to publish my book, and there are those. And there's also the factor that my parents would have to read my book. And like everybody just has fears of like people seeing their work, or people like reading their book and being, oh, this is so embarrassing. There's the part where it's like, oh, this is embarrassing. And there's also the part where my book has a lot of like bloody or gory scenes, or just like scenes that are considered like R-rated for like the fact that it's like blood and death, not any other reason. But like for that reason, it would be like weird for people that I know to read it. before, when I was writing it, I was like, oh, this is super cool, like all this blood and stuff. And then I started getting to certain scenes where like my character would like throw up because she was so like stressed or anxious and stuff, because there's so much going on in the novel, a lot of complex things going on in the novel, that if you were to be put in this position, you would be feeling all of the feelings that she feels. And I kind of want to make the reader understand what she is feeling. So that might be weird for people that I know that wouldn't read that genre anyway. Like they wouldn't read that genre to have to read it because I wrote it, and they'd go, wow, is there something wrong with our child? Now, I don't believe there's anything wrong with me necessarily. I don't think that my friends think there's anything wrong with me, but whenever I had drawn my comic book for the comic book contest, I'll put a picture on the screen. This is my comic book I released for a comic book contest in my area. I was really proud of my comic, and I stayed up all night finishing it. I was really proud of it. I was really excited, and I guess my excitement overpowered the fact that I wasn't really aware of what I was writing. Like, I knew what I was writing, but I wasn't thinking like, what are other people going to think whenever they see this? So there's a lot of blood as well as death. What's going on in my actual novel I put in my comic book. And my mother had read it because she was like, oh, you know, like, let me read it before we go and put it out there. So she read it and she was like, Liliana, they're going to call the police. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And she was just like, I'm scared that they're going to call CPS on me. Like, I don't want them to take my kid away. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I was just like so baffled. I was like, why would they do that? She's like, well, there's a lot of blood in this. There's a lot of like gore. There's a lot of like I don't know, like this is very scary stuff. Like, they're going to think that there's something wrong with you. And there's a scene which in my mind, and I've told other people this, I compare it to like a very vampire-y scene. There's no vampires in the book. It's not a vampire book. But originally, when I had first come up with the idea of it, it was about vampires. So whenever I wrote it, I was like, well, there's a scene where like the main character transforms into a vampire, but that doesn't exist anymore, and it's a different scene. The scene is she is given this like power to heal very fast and to just be stronger. So like kind of like becoming a vampire, just no pale skin and fangs, I guess. Like you're just like you have all the benefits without the cons, and also you're like sort of undead. And to get this, it's like somebody has to like cut your hand open and put the blood of another undead, the person before who also had these powers. And they have to put the blood transfusion into your hands. That's the whole little process. And my mom was like, well, that looks like self-harm, right? Like somebody's cutting open somebody else's hand. Like that looks like self-harm. That's like very not okay. And I was like, well, there are so many other stories. Like in my mind, I was like, this is really weird that she's saying this. This is really weird, like, to think about. Because I look back to, like, all the media that I consume. For example, there is Moon Knight and Werewolf by Night. Just other comics and stories out there where there's, like, a lot of blood, a lot of, like, gore, just really, really sort of stuff. And people could make the argument that this is satanic or that this is like too bloody for kids, but kids still read it and kids still watch these shows and these movies. I don't think that there's anything wrong with these kids. I think there's only a problem whenever the kid is the one making this media and the one that's inspired to write things like this. So I was kind of like, wow, Mom, I don't really think that would be the case. And then she's like, well, I'm gonna go talk to your father and then we'll try to figure it out. And they let me put the comic book out there, and I was like really excited to put it out there. And I won 4th place. So I was really excited, and I was really happy about that. And my mom was like, well, I'm so glad I didn't like keep you from your, you know, your success or whatever. But ever since that had happened, it kind of like gave me that feeling like, wow, what is my mom's reaction gonna be to the actual novel? Because she hasn't read the actual novel. She hasn't seen any of it. She hasn't like read the first couple of chapters, like nothing. Like she hasn't heard a thing. She's only read the comic that I made about it. So whenever I publish it, you know, in the future, what is her reaction going to be? My mother, my father, extended family members, because I know that whenever I release this is something that all of my family members know I'm working on. My cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my grandmother, just people in general know that I'm working on this, and they're gonna go, hey, let's read it. And like, I've told everybody that it's horror. I've told everybody that it's scary, that it's like not like PG. But I'm pretty sure people all have like their own little like assumption in their head, or they might like water it down and like think that it's some sort of like horror comedy or like sci-fi horror, or like it's probably going to be comedic, whatever. It's comedy, or it's romance, or it's something else, but it's not. It's just horror. And sad. It's actually really sad, the book. I actually forgot to mention that. It has a lot of like grieving, like people grieving. I implement the 7 stages of grief into the book because that is a huge part of the book. Death. The main character can see dead people, and people around her are constantly dying, so she not only has to grieve them when they die, but also after they die. There's multiple processes for her to mourning, because when they die, they are not necessarily gone completely, because she can still hear them and see them and talk to them. So it's a different kind of mourning for her. Like they are changing from one state of existence to another state of existence. And I mean, like, that's like a part of the book, like and it's also like symbolism, right? Like a lot of these things, like these things will never happen in real life. I'm aware of that. It's fiction, but it's also not fiction. It's also like symbolism to other things. Like if somebody dies around you, or like one of your family members, one of your friends, or people, somebody that you love dies, they will leave essentially to another place. Like they are still a part of you. You can still not necessarily interact with them like the person can in the book, but they are still a part of you. You still experience them or who they are even after they're gone. When you're walking around, you see something that belongs to them or something that they would have liked. Just you are reminded of them, and they do not leave. They are still there. So, I mean, that's a whole part of the processing, the mourning, whatever, in death. So, me, as a kid, or as a teenager, I'm not fully an adult. So somebody who reads this book may also think that, if they know that I'm a teenager, might think that I'm not equipped enough to talk about these sort of things or write about this sort of stuff. Like I shouldn't have that mentality. I shouldn't be writing about these things yet because I don't know about these things. And that could be true. Like I could see that. I haven't had a lot of people die around me necessarily, like only a few. I had a friend die a couple years back. It was a close friend of mine, and that really changed the book, actually, because I had been planning this book since like the beginning of freshman year. I had a plan that I knew what the book was going to be about, and it kind of changed. I didn't want this very, very high fantasy book anymore about these vampires that go and kill in the night, or this person who gets chased by this vampire and turns into a vampire and has to hide in the darkness. I was like, you know, what if they're real people? What if they're like actual people that aren't vampires, and it's a different type of change in their life, and there is more grieving, and there's more death, there's more characters that I've added that mean different things to the main character, mean different things to the plot. So I think that really changed what my book was about, and I was like, well, I don't want to write about something so silly anymore. I want to write about something serious, and I think that's what changed my perspective on what I was writing about and what topics I was talking about. So that changed. And somebody who reads this, who knows me, like a friend or a family member, like I said, might read this book and go, you shouldn't be talking about this. You shouldn't be having these feelings yet. Like, why are you talking about this? And they might get concerned or tell my parents or call my parents and say, hey, is your kid okay? And I'm fine. Like, that's also a thing that I've been thinking about, where I've talked about my book about like one of my friends. Like they haven't said anything like, hey, you know, what's wrong with you? Like, thank God. You know, they were just like, hey, this is like a really like scary book. And I was like, yeah, but also, what did you think the book was gonna be? And they were kind of like, well, you said it was horror, but you know, I didn't really necessarily think that it was like, you know, that horror. And I was like, well, what kind of horror were you thinking? And they had said what the book was originally about. They were like, oh, I thought it was gonna be something more like, you know, like Twilight-ish, or like, you know, I don't know, just different. And I was like, yeah, I guess so, but you know, I don't know, this is the content that I consume, you know. I would say that My Chemical Romance is a very big part in my book. The Misfits, you know, other bands that I listen to, other media that I consume, really has a big drive in this book. I love horror movies, specifically movies that don't only mess with your like your ability to react to scary faces, but also like, you know, like your ability to go, oh my God, I have a connection with this book, or say this movie. I have a connection to the characters. I can't believe that character died. I love that character. Or, oh my God, this plot is so interesting because the main character had to sacrifice this, blah, blah. I just really like immersive books, and I really want this book to be very immersive. So that is a part of my writing. I guess those are just like the main couple of reasons why I wouldn't want to publish my book necessarily soon. I want to publish it. It's so important to me. It's so important to me. It's a very big factor in why I still like write about this stuff or listen to this stuff. It's me. This book is me, and I think a lot of people say that about their books. Like, this book is a representation of myself. It's a representation of how I view the world, how I handle certain things, because I've had like people talk about like death before, and they talk about like, you know, it's a very uncomfortable subject. It's a very uncomfortable topic. It's always uncomfortable. It's never not going to be uncomfortable. So this book is a very uncomfortable book. Maybe to some people to read. They might read this and go, you know, this is very uncomfortable. And it's supposed to be, you know, it's not supposed to be this fun, lighthearted book. It is how it is advertised. I have not advertised it as anything silly or fun, so I should assume that people wouldn't assume that it would be silly or fun in any way, but that is a concern of mine, that people might read it and go, hey, there is something wrong with you. I'm gonna call somebody. I'm gonna make sure that you're okay. And I understand and I get it. It's just, I am okay, you know? I'm completely fine. You know, it's just, that's how I view death, that's how I view mourning. A lot of people have a strong interest in death, and I don't think that's very wrong or bad. I don't think that it's a bad thing necessarily to have an interest in death or dark things like death or horror or any of these types of things. I think it's completely normal, because it is the way that we process certain things, and sometimes if something is uncomfortable for us to process, we want to make it not uncomfortable. We want to figure out why it makes us uncomfortable. Like, hey, somebody in my life has died. I want to figure out how to talk about this better. I want to figure out how to, you know, explore these feelings, because I don't want to feel this sad all the time. I don't want to feel this alone all the time. So people find ways to talk about it, and when they realize that it's not this super scary thing, and that it's not this horrible thing to talk about, people find an interest in it. They're like, wow, you know, it's not a bad thing. It's just another part of life. It's honestly the best part of life. I don't know why I said that. It's not the best part of life because you die. It's the best part because you get to understand that everything that you've done has been for a reason, or you have enjoyed parts of your life. You get to really appreciate living because you know that one day you're going to die. So morbid, I know. I mean, that's just kind of what the book is about, though. If you're writing a book and you have similar concerns, I mean, like, it doesn't have to be horror or anything like that, just concerns about writing your book, I would love to hear it in the comments down below. You can subscribe to see the rest of my videos. I'm going to continue to post about my book and about like other things as well, just my music, my life in general, just stuff. I don't know. I have a lot of things going on and I like to talk about them. So if you want to hear about that, you can go to my YouTube channel and look at some stuff. If you like this video, please like it so that I know how much you feel or how much you enjoyed watching this video. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and don't forget, you are important, you are unique, you are creative. Don't forget to brush your teeth. I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye!